Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ill Communication. Today I am very excitedly joined in the studio by Stray from nativeKONTROL.com. He is the creator of the CliffX programming language, as well as the owner and founder of nativeKONTROL, which is a very cool company that imparts functionality to your MIDI controllers that their creators never would have dreamed of. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to have me in your studio.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's great to have you here, man. Lots of love.
Great to have you here, man.
So what can you tell us about nativeKONTROL? What is nativeKONTROL exactly?
It's essentially, I mean, to put it simply, it's a company. It's a one-man band, really, but a company where essentially our goal is to allow you to make music with a computer without feeling like you're using a computer, so that you can, you know, interact with buttons and knobs and things like that without, you know, feeling like you're typing an email. You know, other things as well, you know, such as, you know, play chords and whatnot from a single pad and things like that. But basically just allow you to do more with your MIDI controller than you normally would be able to.
Super cool. Super cool. So just to clarify, a lot of people know that I am an avid manufacturer of Ableton templates. An Ableton template is actually a bit different than a MIDI remote script. An Ableton template relies on working solely within Ableton and doing your programming in Ableton. So you know, creating racks that are controlled by different knobs, etc., right? But if you want to go deeper than that, you can use CliffX to create functions that are executed by MIDI commands. Another very common programming tool that people use for this would be Bohm's MIDI Translator, made by Florian. Thanks a lot, buddy. We both love you lots.
Absolutely.
Shouts out. But yeah, and that can let you do keyboard and mouse actions. So in a lot of my templates, I'll use Bohm's to do these keyboard and mouse actions. But guys like Stray and Will Marshall go a whole other level deeper, and they make these MIDI remote scripts that are written in Python code that you can copy into a secret folder inside of Ableton. And then once activated, these MIDI remote scripts give you access to these commands that you are not MIDI learnable and not, you know, they're not really executable in any other way. And it's a very kind of hardcore world, coding in Python. I tried to do it by watching a bunch of YouTube videos. So I'm really like humbled by the prowess of Stray in that regard. Are there any things that you do to get yourself into, like, what's your daily routine like? Like, how do you get yourself into the state where you can code the best?
Well, it starts with coffee. Definitely starts with coffee, but the best thing really, what I like to do is solve problems. You know what I mean? And having a problem to solve is really what gets me going. It gets me up in the morning and it keeps me up at night. And I'm not even, you know, I have to take tranquilizer sometimes because my head just keeps working on these problems. But you know, going on the Ableton forum and reading feature requests, or just dealing with my own users and their requests, really, I like to solve problems is what I like to do. You know, and obviously you can't solve every problem out there, but I try to do as much as I can. You know what I mean? And that really what keeps me going, you know, as far as that goes.
Cool. Can you tell us about solving a particular problem? Like, is there any one of them that stands out that you were just like so stoked when you solved it?
I got to tell you, there's a lot of them that are like that. Really, I mean, I do a little dance a lot of times when I solve these problems, because I don't do the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Like, I have the APC series, which is for the APC 40. It'd be really easy for me to port that over to the APC 20, and I can make money that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's not interesting to me. You know, what's interesting to me is doing the next thing. You know what I mean? The next thing that I didn't think would be possible, and then, you know, make it happen. You know what I mean? So I guess recently the thing that really made me really happy was there was a problem with the snap action in CliffX, where if you had really deeply nested racks, like racks within racks within racks, it would have a problem recalling those. And I solved that in a way that's really, really elegant, worked really great, and I was just pleased as punch once I got that done. So
cool. Yeah, I noticed that there are a lot of like little tweaks to you know, especially when it comes to dealing with nested racks on Push, for example. I was having a horrible time the other week trying to go in and select chains inside of a rack and navigate inside of a rack with, like, you know, with nested racks and lots of chains. It was actually really, you know, I couldn't get at it. And I called Stray up, and he told me about this push mod script that's available on the forums, and when I loaded up his slightly modified version of the normal push script, I was able to browse the chains inside of my racks and, you know, solve all of those problems. So where can push users find that free script to check out?
It's on our forum, which is beatwise.proboards.com. Hopefully we can put the link in the comments of this video. But yeah, that's the one really nice thing about the way Ableton does things. Now, they don't officially support, you know, extensions to MIDI remote scripts or third-party remote scripts, but the fact that they use Python means that people like me can extend upon, you know, things like the push script. Rather than having to reinvent the wheel and write it all over again, we can just modify slight parts of it and fulfill requests that, you know, users have in a more immediate way than Ableton can. And that's nothing against Ableton. You know, they're a big company. It takes them a while to make moves, whereas someone like me, I can do it overnight. You know what I mean? So that's really cool that they allow for that to happen. You know, so big ups to Ableton for that.
Yeah, super cool. So push and like the PXT live script is probably your best known script, but can you tell us, like, can you just run down a list of which controllers you have made scripts for? Because I'm sure, you know, people, not everybody uses push. So.
Sure. Well, the name Native Control actually came from the first controller that I did work for, which is the pad control, because the pad control has the capital KONTROL, you know, so that's where it came from.
German style.
But, so we have the pad control, have a series for that. The APC40 have a series for that. The Nano Control, the Nano Pad. I'm trying to think. Let's see.
I got your MPK one and the machine one. Yeah, the MPK and the machine.
Machine Mark II. I'm looking over my controllers here to give me some help. Bass.
Yeah, Livid Bass too. That's pretty cool.
Just did that. Bass X, working in conjunction with Livid. I also have one for their Ohm 64, and then also, the MPD32, the MPK 61. I just pretty much every major controller I have something for. And then we had the Map E series, which there's a little bit of a snafu with that right now, but that supported a whole plethora of controllers like Livid Code and things like that we don't support right now. Like I'm not actually. I can't really distribute that right now because of some problems with Live 9, but yeah, we just try to do as many controllers as possible, and I'm coming out with something new that maybe hopefully I can show you in a little bit that supports any controller. So we're moving away from this situation where we're making stuff for one particular controller and going to have something where you'll be able to use it with any controller.
Sweet.
So that's the goal.
Sweet. So recently, you know, I've noticed that you're working in a more official capacity with a lot of these MIDI controller companies.
Right.
Is there anything that you can tell us about that? And you know, what's up with this rumor that you're working at Ableton on the push now?
Right. Well, with the working with manufacturers, that goes back to, I guess, starting with Livid. Livid was really, they embraced the work that I did, and really it's kind of a really loose relationship, whereas they give me the controller to work with and I kind of come up with what I can come up with. Just recently with Bass that they sent me, they had a little more idea in terms of what they wanted to do, and they're actually distributing it. I'm actually not even distributing it through my site. It's actually going through their shop on their site. So that's a really cool one. I also work with Smith & Martin. I'm not saying that right. Smithson Martin. They make a really cool controller, big touchscreen type controller, and I've worked with them.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that was a really a fun project. And then most recently, I'm now working as an independent contractor for Ableton. Now let me state that again: independent contractor for Ableton. I do not work at Ableton. I'm not in Germany. We're in Buffalo, New York right now. This is where I work from, and I'm not on the Push team. I have nothing to do with Push at all. The work that I did actually was on the Launchpad Pro, which is soon to be released. So hopefully you enjoy that script, and I had fun working on it. But yeah, to dispel those rumors, I had nothing to do with Push at all. Nothing.
Cool. Well, hey, so let's talk about PXT a little bit more, because
Sure.
that's really the PXT and PXT Plus are his two like amazing, like game-changing scripts for Push, and they allowed you to do things like, for example, have 64 drum pads before they introduced the new modification. But can you tell me about like what are your favorite features of PXT, just so that people can get kind of an idea of what it's like?
Sure. Well, PXT Live is one part of the puzzle, and there's also PXT Live Plus, and those can be used synergistically. So I kind of look at those as one thing, right? Because when you're using PXT Live Plus, you are using PXT Live, so it's kind of a combination of the two. So
it's like a second level.
Right, just that second tier. So from PXT Live, what I call the basic functionality, I really like the clip play mode, where you can basically chop up clips. You can do it across multiple tracks at the same time.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I really like that functionality because it kind of brings me back to a sampler that I had in the past where you didn't have to do any work in order to be able to chop something up. You just hit a button and you'd be chopping it up. Here, you can navigate to any clip in the set and you can just chop it right up. And I love that.
Yeah, so basically how it looks is like once you have some clips playing in your like typical session view like an APC, you can go over to this clip play mode, and each clip is represented by what looks like, lights like cascading down the controller like rain, and then the top button is the beginning trigger, and you can like juggle them up and do all kinds of really, really cool stuff. My personal favorite feature has got to be that capture mode. That is so crazy.
That's
yeah.
with PXT Live Plus.
Yeah,
that's what that is like MIDI sampling in a way. You know what I mean? Which is something I haven't seen anyplace else. And it's something that's
crazy.
I've had this thing called learn modes in a lot of previous products where you can learn a chord to a pad or something like that. But learn mode takes that to an entirely new level where you can learn like an entire song basically and then rearrange it. So essentially it's kind of like what you would do with sampling where you're rearranging the audio, chopping it up and stuff like that. But that is, you're going to run into copyright issues when you do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Here, as long as you're rearranging it, you're not working with the audio. You're working with the MIDI, just the notes.
Yeah, it's not considered like a derivative work in any
right.
kind
Well,
of copyright sense.
You could get into publishing issues if you just kind of played the song all the way through without modifying it. But that's not the point.
Or if Marvin Gaye's family are involved.
right.
They're coming for you, Stray.
But if you rearrange it, which is the whole point and the whole fun of the mode, then yeah, I mean it's just a way of sampling in just a twist on sampling. I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like you can either take a MIDI file from your track, or you can download one off the internet, and it like splatters it onto the push buttons, and they're all color coded. Like this color is a chord, this color is a single note, and there's all these different ways you can slice it and stuff. It's so cool. Like I typically when I'm coming up with melodies in the studio, I'll have capture mode, to do like chords or whatever with my left hand, right. And then I'll have my right hand. I use that Launchpad 95 script,
sure.
Where it has like the push style limited scales in my right hand, and then I'll have that be like, for my right hand for playing single note leads, where the left hand's playing chords, and it really enables me to, have that kind of like classic like. Like a real skilled keyboardist is going to be good enough that they're going to be able to rip out all these chords with their left hand. But I just haven't played the piano for like 10 years of my life extensively, so I just don't have that dexterity and muscle memory. And the PXT Live script allows me to basically program all of that music theory into just this like 1 2 3 4 5 3 4 5 4 1, like just break it down, and it's amazing. It was a real game changer for me, man. That really that definitely helped my workflow, and all my new tunes, like all those it's like sweet lush melodies I've been coming up with. I've been using the capture mode in combination with the Launchpad script that emulates push. Is there features that you find yourself like using more often than not? Like which ones are like you think are the most practical?
Well, capture for sure.
Yeah,
really. I mean, that's for me. It's a go-to. And the drum rack mixer too. I really, it's a relatively minor feature, but the ability to control drum rack with the drum rack mixer is it's very nice. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, there's other ways of doing it.
Push should have had a dedicated drum rack mode.
Yeah,
like as someone who uses drum racks really, really extensively.
Well, plus it's got a dedicated drum rack mode, so it would kind of make sense. I mean, for the pads anyway. So it would kind of make sense. You know what I mean? And that's it's something that I just saw when I was developing it. That this should have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I made it so that you can use it in conjunction with the pads, or you can use it on its own. So you can navigate between your drum racks with an encoder and, mix things up that way. But I found that to be very, very pretty much essential. And I like the clip note edit modes, those are a little bit, you got to get used to them because they're a little bit different, but that's kind of based on a sequencer I used to use back in the day. And it's just a way of going through the events of a clip and editing them, you know, deleting them, or, you know, changing the velocity, changing the duration, that sort of thing. So I think those are very practical. It's just a matter of, like I said in the PXT Live videos, it's a matter of, you know, you got to take things one step at a time in order to get them into your workflow. But I think once you do, it's, you know, it's just like second nature, and it makes your life a lot easier in the end.
Cool. So hey, it's gotta be really cool to like see, you know, your scripts go out into the world and see people use them in different ways. Has anyone ever, you know, done anything like really surprising with them, or have you, you know, has anyone ever made you like rethink the design of them just from using them in a different way?
Well, most recently, I have this user mode in PXT Live Plus where you can dictate what note each pad should send. And I really, the point of that really was to allow you to trigger different instruments, more than one instrument basically. But a user with the initials SFT, not sure entirely what that stands for, used it to come up with a different alternate note layout that was kind of like the isomorphic layout of Push, but in it with a different twist. And it makes playing melodies and chords and stuff like that so much easier. And I didn't intend for it to be used that way.
Cool.
So he was using the whole mode to play one instrument with a different style of layout than you would get in Push by itself. And I didn't anticipate that, and it was very cool. A lot of users are using it as well. Oh,
and that's something that's publicly available.
Yeah, it's on the.
Cool.
He actually he posted a video, and I said, "Wow, man, that's very interesting. I think users would be really into it." So he uploaded the file, and yeah, anyone could use it. It's available from the forum.
Sweet, yeah. Sweet. That's super cool. Are there any features that you wanted to include but didn't?
Well, there would be no PXT Live Plus if PXT Live Plus requires a separate runtime, right? The reason for that is because Ableton's Live's API doesn't allow you to do certain things. For example, it's not possible throughout Live's API to make one pad trigger a chord. So when I was making PXT Live, I wanted to do all the things I did with PXT Live Plus. I simply couldn't because the API doesn't allow for it. You know, so that the API was a limiting factor there. And yeah, so that was all the features that are in PXT Live Plus I wish could have been in PXT Live. You know what I mean? It would make everyone's life easier if that was the case. We wouldn't need to run additional software. You know, so that, and then there's things that I'd like to do, you know, in general, as far as, you know, working with Live that can't be done because of limitations of the API. If you go onto the forum, if you go onto our forum and look at the PXT Live wish list, a lot of the stuff that I say, you know, people will request a feature, and I say it can't be done because it's not possible within Live, you know, which sucks. And I hope that, you know, again, that's nothing against Ableton. I mean, they've done a lot. I mean, you could do a lot to their API, but there's, you know, it's going to always want us leaving more, you know, wanting more, you know what I mean? It's going to always leave us that way. So hopefully working with Ableton now, I can maybe influence that a little bit and make it so we can make more powerful scripts. So we'll see what happens.
Rock and roll. Well, hey, any parting words for our viewers here? I mean, they know nativeKONTROL.com.
Yeah. They
got the board. We got the push mod script in there. We got the extra user mode thing that
yeah, definitely check that out.
Made. Anything else that you want to add before we?
I don't. Definitely check out CliffX if we haven't. Did we mention?
Oh
that?
yeah, we didn't mention CliffX. Okay,
definitely check out CliffX.
CliffX is another programming tool that Stray created that I actually had before I even used Push or anything. I was aware of CliffX. And CliffX it allows you to translate MIDI commands from Ableton into software commands. So what kinds of things would you use CliffX for? Anything.
CliffX is essentially anything that Live's API allows for, CliffX can do in one way or the other. But some of the most popular things are it's snap action, which allows you to store settings of individual tracks or all the tracks in the set, and device settings, and even the setting, even which clip is playing on each track, and then recall that at a later time, which is a really cool functionality. Cool. And just recently, we added a variant of that called what is it called? Envelope capture. And what that does is instead of capturing the data into the clip's name, which is how snaps work, it stores all the data within the clip's name. This actually stores envelopes in the clip. so that, you know, you actually have, you know, a clip with, you know, hundreds of envelopes that you can edit and do different things with. So it's really, really cool. And that's something new that maybe even long-time CliffX users don't even know about. So check that out as well. But yeah, CliffX is, if you have one script, one MIDI remote script that you use, it should be CliffX, really, because it's the end-all be-all to MIDI remote scripts, really. It's a programming language in itself.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thank you, man.
It's really great to pick your brain for a bit. Much love, and thanks for watching, everyone. Peace.
Thanks, guys.